Almost every node has a fig on certain branches. It's just incredible. Sometimes I almost say, why am I growing all these figs? Because I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm spoiled, truthfully.
Yeah.
There are some that are just dramatically better than the others.
I agree. So I'm also thinking like, it's at some point I want to pare it down to just, but ones that are like, hey, top 20 or whatever.
All right, fig lovers. Today we're with Big Bill again. This is Bill at Off the Beaten Path Nursery. Check him out. We've been putting a lot of videos out recently with Bill. He's one of the experts in the Northeast. He has a lot to share with us in today's video about different fig varieties that he thinks are, worthy of attention, right?
Yeah.
So check out his website. We're gonna walk you guys through some of his trees. By the way, absolutely massive, some of these trees. Actually, Bill has been telling me as we've gone through, they're all planted rather close together. What's the spacing, Bill?
Technically, the spacing was about 7 or 8 feet, but I mean, as far as the crown, it's sort of has increased in size, and so they're really from tip to tip, maybe like 3 feet apart. But they do have a tendency, especially in the Northeast, especially like in where I grow mine, we have a heavy clay soil, and a lot of times people are like, oh, I have heavy clay, that's bad. It is loaded with minerals, and something like figs that are very aggressive growers actually really enjoy that type of soil. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we get a lot more rain than out west helps it. A lot of people don't believe me when they see this. They're like, what are you doing to the trees? How old are they? And if you see, this is what I would consider my new orchard, the new orchard I planted 2 years ago. So you could kind of see the growth on these things. And this is after they've been pruned back to about 12 to 18 inches. So the growth is pretty impressive.
And the results of pruning, we just talked about in another video. We say that if you prune less, we're gonna have more fruit at an earlier date. The quality is gonna be a bit higher. The differences in the growth and the lignification are stark. So these trees will continue growing without stopping until frost. And then a frost will finally knock them out. But all right, Bill, let's look at some of these varieties here that you wanna showcase today.
One of the ones that I've always been pretty high on has been Blanche de Argentile, and I know for years, people had said, well, isn't that Marseille white? And it's not. I can side by side comparison, they're very different. Mm-hmm. I also think that Blanche de Argentile, if it doesn't split, and it does have somewhat of a large eye, but it's almost kind of has a peachy skin, which I kind of enjoy, and I think that might make me in my mind think, oh, it's a peach, because it does, I feel, take on some peach flavor. But that one is one that's on the early side, even in the orchard like I have, and even though I pruned it pretty heavily, it was probably late August when it ripened, which is fairly, yes.
A little bit of spoilage on
that
one, but
I mean, they do have it, like they're flat, Ross talked about it before, but these flat bottom figs, they really have a bigger tendency to split than ones that are maybe more like Verdolino or something that has more of a...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, the shape has a lot to do with it.
Like for me, when I say in the orchard early, late August is early.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of how I'm growing them and the heavy
way that we're
pruning.
cutting them, right.
Yeah. Ronde de Bordeaux, of course, that's like a staple. Like if you're growing figs in the Northeast, you probably ought to have it.
So let me ask you this, Bill. People are going to ask, there's a fig on every node. Is this normal?
Yeah, I mean, for me anyway, in the ground.
Okay.
This is a baby Randino. This was actually, I think this might have been from a rooted cutting. So you can kind of see they're pretty massive. Like if you can get them into the
look at that. Look at this tree,
nice,
guys. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think, but you can see there's some similarities there with Longdude. Mm-hmm. This was actually the reason I'm excited about it, or it's performed really well at the other orchard, number one, and number two, it was grown in the Ukraine Zone 5B, but they did trial it in Ukraine for years and years, and it did really well in that cold a climate. But this was one variety, and I'm really high on it. It's called Blanche de Saison, mm-hmm. and it's an Adriatic, and it's I think just an exquisite looking fig. This is one of the ones that I'll take to the pastry shops. They really like it for its visually stimulating color. Like it's very beautiful, so they do that in a lot of their base goods.
Absolutely. All the Adriatics are so darn good, and it's almost like
And
you
they can
know,
handle, like, their flavor still is very good
at this time.
at this time of year, whereas a lot of the Mount Etnas or Chicago Hardy types, they kind of drop off. The sugars don't
Yeah.
get converted, and they just are kind of almost insipid, where these really hang on to the flavor. You can see, like we had talked about in another video, you know, when you cut back like this, you can see all the new growth, not a fig on it. I mean, not that it would ripen anyway, but you can see a lot of that. The imbalance is definitely apparent.
Right. Now, we did pick a Rockaway Green here in the front of your house.
Uh-huh.
And the Rockaway, we got this to ripen, you said, first week of August.
Yeah.
And that was just because of a difference of pruning.
Right.
But when did this tree actually start producing for you?
This one would be, I think, late August, and you know that's not remarkable or anything, but I think considering the harsh pruning, I mean, we had a very mild winter, and you know that Rockaway Green was not a brave. I just want to clarify that.
Right.
That was actually a main crop, and you know I got some sporadic ones throughout the middle of August, and it's about finished. It's almost completed.
This is one of the last ones. It's incredible, by the way. This is definitely one of the Adriatic figs, guys. I'm telling you, are just so underrated.
Absolutely.
It's criminal. And by the way, all of them are great. You know, it also goes by the name Verdino.
But you know, white Madeira, I think, you know, as far as some of the better Adriatic types, I think if there is a hierarchy, I would definitely put that near the top.
It's my number one.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
After this year, yeah, it
Yeah,
became my number one. I
just
didn't believe the hype, and then I ate some, and I was
I
like,
didn't either. I thought, okay, black Madeira, white Madeira, this is like trying to make money, you know, rather than be honest about the flavor. But the hype is real. Like it is absolutely. You could take maybe a Rockaway Green and a white Madeira and side by side and take a bite of each.
They're different.
Yeah, you will see. I feel like it's another layer of complexity on white Madeira that you don't get from many of the others. They're still very good, but white Madeira is just fantastic.
For me, it has a slightly different flavor, but it's really about the texture. They have a thicker,
do.
leathery skin.
Right.
And they dry really well that way.
Yeah.
Paradiso Bronze VS, which
that,
I bought a bunch of trees from you.
it was almost into extinction. You know, and that was Herman's, and you know the name is kind of silly, not silly, but it's interesting. He called it Paradiso Bronze, being an Adriatic fig, but he always talked highly of it, and the size of them are also kind of note, I think. And yeah, it's almost an extinction. As a matter of fact, I so pressed for land that I just dug it up, but luckily there was like one sprig that made it, and I'm thinking, not yet. I mean, I can't get rid of it altogether, not yet. Because I do think that if it was spread around more, I think people would maybe, you know, have a better feeling about it rather than just, I don't want a bronze fig. So
To me, they're exceptional. I think it's in the same category as white Madeira, and I thought for a while it was the same fig.
Really? Yeah. But they just hold up really well. They're a little on the late side, but I would challenge, especially northern growers, give it a shot, because the flavor quality is really not affected in a major way at all. Here. Oh, there's another one, Fico Secco, which I don't know if
Moro de Caneva.
I'm blown away by this. Like
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of what Ross has said, we were just remarking about Verdolino being excellent, but Moro de Caneva / Fico Secco, I got this one from Ross as well. They're like, splitting is never an issue. The flavor is very, very concentrated. I think it's
Yeah, they're always good. And I have to say, Bill, I mean, we talked about this a little bit in a live stream that I did. Teramo and Campanere produced the highest quality fruit for me, the most consistently
crazy.
this year.
that is insane.
You should have seen these Teramo figs. You would have been proud. And then Green Michurinska and Moro de Caneva produced pretty much more than any other fig, if you include the Brebas. And they are, I think, you have to have them in this part of the world.
Yeah, I'm partial just because, you know, I found it, but there's a lot of hate. People will be like, you know, Teramo sucks, and it, you know, it doesn't hurt my feelings, because I mean I can understand perhaps if the growing conditions aren't right. Ross has one, and I don't know how. It's just that anomaly with that dry environment. But like when you cut them open, they are not amber inside. They're pretty.
They
dark.
are always red.
Yeah, which I think there's something, I don't know, I'd love to figure that out, because a lot of mine have the more ambery, kind of sugary flavor with zero berry, but Ross is able to get that component to be developed.
And they also dry on the tree very quickly. Campanere and Teramo, by about the 4th day of them hanging on the tree in terms of hang time, they are shriveled on the tree towards drying. And I picked, Bill, totally dried Teramo figs this year and last year.
Yeah.
Totally dried on the tree.
Man, because a lot of people will claim about their splitting issues, which, I guess
Doesn't split.
I mean the fact that it dries on a tree is remarkable to me. It's just not a quality that you typically see. It would be
I never
great.
would have thought that it would be one of my best figs, but it is.
Yeah, it's weird because you having said that makes me think maybe I shouldn't kick it to the curb the way I usually do, because it is quite early, and that's if there's a commercial for that, it would be, hey, if you want a really early fig that's pretty good, Teramo would be that.
Well, we talked a little bit about when you prune them, we did say that the quality of the fruits decreases. And I think the reason why they decrease is because when you prune the trees really far back, they grow very quickly. And the result is you get these really large leaves, and you get a lot of energy that gets then put into these fruits. And so the fruits are just typically larger. And then when you have larger fruits, you're going to have more problems with splitting.
Right.
They're going to crack even more. So that may be the way that I'm able to get my Teramo, at least so far, to behave maybe the way it should, and to the point where it's drying on the tree. I agree. All right, guys. Well, that was Bill, and I really appreciate Bill for showing us around his amazing orchard. I mean, there's literally trees that it's just like unbelievable how deep it is and how big these trees are. So it's a forest. He's doing amazing work. Check out his channel, and well, I should say what he's doing on his website, Off the Beaten Path Nursery. He'd love it. He's such a nice guy, and he's been doing this longer than pretty much everybody in the Northeast. So we'll see you for the next video. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Take care, guys.